Hello everyone, today I want to talk about TemporalKit. TemporalKit is a very useful extension within Automatic 1111 with which you can create amazing animations with almost no deflickering. And it's a combination between Img2Img and EbSynth. So after uploading the video, we are going to extract the main keyframes, which we are going to use on Img2Img for changing the style. And then we are going to use EbSynth for merging and generating the final animation. So the requirements for TemporalKit are the following: TemporalKit extension, FFmpeg, EbSynth, and not necessarily, but if you have a very long video, you may want to have also a video editing software like DaVinci Resolve, which is free, or Adobe. For installing TemporalKit, you need to go into the main GitHub page, which is this one from Chara Strawberry. And then you simply need to copy this code. Then you go into Stable Diffusion, Extensions, Install from URL. You paste the URL copied in here, and then you press into Install. After that, you need to go into Install, and then you will apply and restart UI. For the FFmpeg instead, you need to download that from the main website. I would recommend you to look at this website here. I will share all of this link down in the description of my video. This is an article from Stable Diffusion Art website. They usually share very nice articles about Stable Diffusion, so I would really recommend it. But in particular, in this article, they are telling you how to install FFmpeg. Then for EbSynth instead, you just go into the main website and then you press on the download button. I'm going now to use TemporalKit for modifying this video here. I got this from Pexels, which is a website where you can find free videos and images. It's quite useful. And this is 3 seconds video, so it's very short. So it's perfect for this tutorial. The first step, let's go back into Stable Diffusion. We go into the TemporalKit extension tab, which you will have after installing it. And the first thing we are going to do, we are going to drop the video downloaded in here. Then I set up already the main settings. So we have slide. This indicates how many images this piece of code is going to generate. So if I have 2, it means that we are going to output a 2x2 image. If you have 4, you're going to generate a 4x4 image. Now, what's better? This is really up to you. It probably saves time if you have a long video to have a bigger grid, obviously. Mainly during the Img2Img process, because then we are going to process all of the input images through Img2Img. Why I'm saying that? Because after we generate these pictures through this step here, we need then to use Img2Img for changing the style of the image. And if you have a very high resolution image, it's gonna take more time. Then with high resolution, I changed this to 3600, which is the actual resolution of my video. So if you go into details of the video, you can see here what's the width and the height. Now this is actually a trade-off, because ideally you will want to have a higher resolution for generating your images, your video, but the higher the resolution, the longer it will take to generate the Img2Img. So it would be better to find a middle way. Like in this case, I'm using 3.6, which is maybe too high, but the video is short, so I don't think it will make much difference. But if the video was longer and I had to process more images in the Img2Img tab, probably I would have gone for a lower resolution. But always try to keep the dimension of the original video, otherwise it will be a bit distorted. Then the frames per keyframes indicate the number of frames between each keyframe. And then you have the frames per seconds, which needs to be set equal to the frames per second of the original video. Now, if you go into Pexels, you can look for this information if you go into more info here, and then you get frame per seconds in here, 25. So I actually need to change this to 25 instead of 30. Then target folder is simply the path to the folder where you want to generate the video, so where you will have input, output, and so on and so forth. I forgot EbSynth mode, which you need to tick if you want to use EbSynth, and we want to do that, so this has to be ticked. And then here you have two interesting tabs. You have batch settings and EbSynth settings. With batch settings, you're going to generate more inputs from your original video, and then with split video of EbSynth settings, you can split your video into smaller videos. So this is very useful when you have a long video, and is in this case that you need another software like DaVinci Resolve for then merging together all of the small videos you're going to create with EbSynth. Now, to explain you better what these two settings are, I run this code without batch, with batch, without splitting, and with splitting. So let's first see the batch run. So on the left side we have no batch, whilst on the right side we have batch. The main difference is in this input folder. So if we go into this folder here, you will see that when you don't have the batch, the video is not divided fully into grids. Whilst if you use the batch run, you will see the full video is going to be divided into 2x2 grids. This is 2x2 because I used 2 in the split settings. So this is the main difference when you use the batch and when you don't use it. Now I'm showing you the difference between splitting and not splitting. So on the left side there is splitting, on the right side it's not splitting. As you can see, in the split mode, you are going to split the videos into different folders. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. Whilst in here, you will have everything within one folder, which is this input folder. So in the next steps, in this case, you will have to run Img2Img and EbSynth just once, because you have just one folder. In this case, you will have to run Img2Img and EbSynth 7 times, because we have 7 folders. Then within the batch settings, you have these max keyframes and these border keyframes. So the max keyframes is how many keyframes you want for each batch created, whilst the border keyframes is quite interesting because it's going to grab the last 2, in this case, frames from the previous batch, and it's gonna merge them to the next one. So once we are happy with these settings, we just save settings and then we run. And once the code has finished running, if we go into the original folder we created, you will see that you have these folders in here. So 0 is because we have the split mode, and my video is very short, so you just have one folder. Then you have this input folder, you have an output folder which is empty. The input folder contains the frames from the video, then you have the main video, and then you have a text file with some more information. In the 0 folder, we have frames, which are going to be generated afterwards with EbSynth. You have input, which is exactly the same input folder we saw before. You have the keyframes, which again are going to be generated afterwards. Then you have the output, which we are going to generate now. Then you have batch settings and again the input video. So now we need to move into Img2Img. So here we are going to upload one of the pictures from the input folder. It doesn't matter which one you choose. And then you're going to set the settings for changing the style of your video. In the settings, you need to include ControlNet. ControlNet is very helpful for controlling the output. And the one that I usually use is line art. I find it very good. I get usually very good results. But feel free to use whichever ControlNet you want, to use more than one ControlNet for getting the best result. The model I'm using for changing this animation is this one, Cardus Anime. I really like it. It always works pretty well. And I copied this generation data in here, pasted in my prompt description, and then I pressed this button here for sending all of the settings across. Then I'll start testing my settings. So I press generate and I see what I get. And this is what I've got, and I'm quite happy with that. Now, the main important settings I would like to share with you, apart from ControlNet, the denoising strength. This is very important because the higher the denoising strength and the more different will be the image to the original one, the lower, the more similar. Like if you use, for example, 0.1, you're not going to change almost anything. So you want to value between 0.25 to 0.5. And I'm telling you this because with that you are reducing the flickering. So once you found the settings you like, make sure that you are copying the seed from here and you paste it in here in the seed setting, because you want to use the same denoising seed. Otherwise, again, you are going to get the flickering because the image is gonna change quite a lot, mainly if you have a high denoising strength. And then, happy with those settings, we are going into the batch tab, and then we are going to generate images in batches. So we need to set the input directory, which is this one. So I'm gonna copy and paste it in here. I'm gonna use the same for ControlNet. And then the output directory is the same, but you need to change input to output. Happy with that, we press generate. Now, in this case, I need to run this just once because I have just the 0 folder. In this other case I showed you before, you see I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 7. You need to run this process for each of these folders. So once this is finished, you will have to go back here and change this 0 into 1, this 0 into 1, this 0 into 1, and press generate. Then you need to change it again to 2, 2, 2, and then press generate, and so on and so forth. So this is done. Now if we go into the 0 folder, we will see that in the output folder, we have the generated modified images. Cool. Now the next step, let's go back into the TemporalKit tab, and now we go into EbSynth process. In here, we need to copy and paste the path of our input folder, and then we are going to click into this read last settings. Oh, I got an error, yeah, because you need to remove the input from here. It needs to be the main folder, which is 0 in our case. So let's read the settings again. Then you may want to change the resolution of the output video. In my case, I use the original one divided by 2 just to make it quicker, but this is really up to you. And then you can press on prepare EbSynth. And also in this case, if you split the video, you have to repeat this step for each folder. So for folder number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. So you will have to come back here, just change the name of the folder from 0 to 1, and then you need to prepare EbSynth again. Then you change it to 2 and you prepare EbSynth again. So I think it's done now. You will see that in frames now we have the original frames of the video, and in keys instead we have the keyframes modified. Here they are. Now, final step, you open EbSynth and then you drag and drop frames into video like this, and then keys into keyframes, and you press run all. You need to do this for each folder of the split video. So in this case I have only 0, but if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to do the same for all of the other folders. So with EbSynth you're going to generate these output folders in here, which will contain the frames of the video. So this is done, so you have to go back into Stable Diffusion and press Recombine EbSynth, and this should be done. So in your 0 folder, if you scroll down, you will have this crossfade.mp4. And again, if you split your video, you will have this crossfade for each 0, 1, 2, 3 folder. And then you can combine them all together using a software like DaVinci. So this is DaVinci. You can drag and drop the video in here. And this is the first part of the video, which for me is the old video. So in case you have more videos, you need to put all of the crossfade here, and then you drag and drop all of them like this. And you will see that you will get the full video. So I think this is easier to do than to explain, but I hope this was useful. Thank you very much for watching, and see you at the next video. Bye.